Welcome, dear friends. This is Zyad Tariq Rasheed welcoming you from Gatineau in Quebec, Canada. And today I will be speaking with a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Dave Hull, and we'll be talking about voiceover training and voice acting. What does that even mean? How do you do it? How do you train yourself? How do you prepare yourself for doing that? All of this will be the main axes of our topic for today, voiceover training. You know, these days, with the easy ways to obtain podcasting equipment and whatnot, people started to start their own careers and maybe hobbies in podcasting and presenting and video streaming. A lot of them have made it their professional domain, and they started to earn money, and sometimes very good money, from doing it. If you have, all you need is a good voice and maybe some talent along with that, and then you have to prepare your own equipment, and there you go, you become a voiceover training, a voiceover specialist. But it's not that easy, or it's not that uncomplicated. There are a little bit more to that. So today I will speak with Dave Hull about voiceover training. Why is it essential in this type of business and career? And how do I prepare myself in order to become a voiceover specialist? After less than 20 seconds, Dave Hull will be joining me in the studio, and I will be speaking with him about all these topics. So stay tuned and don't go away, please. Hello again. So Dave Hull did not intend from the early stages of his life maybe to become a voiceover specialist, but he's got it. He's got that texture in his voice that allows him to become a voiceover specialist. I will be talking with him today about his journey to achieve and fulfill that dream actually. But before that, I want to play to you some samples of Dave's Hull voice, and how can he manipulate and play with his voice in different tones in order to present what he wants to talk about, or the message that he wants to convey through that voice. Let me play to you some samples before starting our conversation with Dave Hull.
Being me is awesome. Every road holds a new adventure in the impressive all-electric Kia EV9. Charged for more. Turn your home into a virtual playground as you immerse yourself in mixed reality. Meta Quest 3, the most powerful way to play. Move like everyone is watching, and like no one can stop you. Discover your uniqueness within. Lululemon. When you want to send money to the kids, or pay the landscaper for a job well done, do it with Zelle. It's fast, free, and secure. Next time you need to move money, look for Zelle in your banking app.
Yep, that's Dave Hull. So please welcome him to the studio. Hello, Dave, and welcome. Dave is joining us from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. It's been a while since I've seen you. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. And thanks for accepting my invitation to the program. Dave, tell us about yourself in a nutshell, please. And why did you choose this path in your career?
Sure. I think I wanted to be an actor since I was a little kid. Used to be in the school plays every year and all of that. And then, life happens. You graduate. I ended up, going into heating and air conditioning. I did that for about 5 years. Didn't like it. Got into customer service, worked in customer service management for almost 20 years. Which is kind of cool because that in its sense is kind of acting. I mean, when you work in management or customer service, you are essentially acting. It doesn't matter what type of day you're having. It's your job to make sure the customer has a great experience.
That's right.
So a few years back when I was working, it was late 2018, I think, a little over 5 years ago. Um, and I wanted to get into this, and I discovered audiobooks. I was an avid audiobook listener. I used to listen to books instead of music when I drove around, and I found a platform where I was able to audition for audiobooks. And I got myself a pretty cheap setup in the beginning, decent little XLR microphone, a Rode NT1, and a decent preamp, and got some sound treatment materials, and just started kind of hacking away at it with no training. But it was a nice kind of playground to begin in, and
Yes.
learn from my own mistakes, and also get a lot of time behind a microphone, and determine if this was going to be a good fit for me as well. It was a great way to try it out at a relatively low cost.
Hmm. That's right. So you mentioned things like preamp and XLR cables, and maybe only specialist knows about this terminology. Maybe throughout the interview we will have to explain more, especially about, especially when we reach the point to talk about how to, start this, and how do you launch yourself as a podcaster. So friends are joining in, and I need to remind that all of you can comment, please, and say hello to our friend Dave. You can ask questions, and along that, we will be answering all those questions, and also will be um, responding to everything you say, whether it's a comment or a question. So please, everything is welcomed. I need to remind everyone also that there will be a phone line open in the studio, and the number is 819-329-8966. If you're calling from overseas, just use WhatsApp and it's okay. 819-329-8966. That's the number. And the code for Canada and the United States is 01. Okay. Dave, tell us about, uh, that's how you first started your journey, and you started with very simple equipment. But how did you launch yourself in the market? How did you made yourself be recognized by other people and other companies?
Yeah, so I will say that it was a pretty long, drawn out process, right? Because for about the first 4 years, I just did audiobooks. And sure, I got, better as I went on. I learned how to develop character voices a little better. I got a little bit better at storytelling. But the progression didn't really happen until I really started investing in myself. And this can start with something low cost. There's a lot of online resources that have lots of webinars a month. I mean, I will mention Gravy for the Brain. They're an incredible platform, and for about $50 a month, somebody who's starting out, you can get access to 15 webinars a month where you can practice reads in front of top VO actors, top people in the industry for a low price. But private coaching is going to make the most impact in anybody's growth as a voice actor. And I do like what you said earlier, that to have a nice voice and voice act. But the beauty about voiceover right now is it literally is for everyone. In fact, my type of tone would be more resonant with a classic radio vibe. And if anything, that's what most casting producers are not looking for right now. People want real
So
conversational reads, and they want diversity, which is fantastic. So wherever you are in the world, whatever your native language tongue is, there's a demand. There is, with proper training and, proper equipment and guidance, this is literally a game that everybody can get into, regardless of what their kind of signature sound is.
Okay, because the stereotype or the common idea, like men have to have like a very deep and very clear voice in order to be, accepted as a voiceover specialist. Otherwise, it's not for them. But you're saying now absolutely the opposite. Like you can be anyone.
Oh
You
yeah.
just need to have the right equipment in order to be a voiceover specialist. So can you highlight more on this topic?
Yeah, so it's really more about the training than the equipment. You can start very cheap with equipment. I mean, 15 years ago, if you wanted to record studio quality or broadcast quality audio in your home, that was a long shot. That required thousands and thousands of dollars. Nowadays, you can pick up a good, large condenser microphone for $200, one that actually performs really well. You can treat your space for sound reflections and, acoustically treat it for about $200. You can get a great interface for $150.
Mhm.
And those they're important, but I know a lot of people that start off just by reading things out loud. They want to get into audiobooks, so they start reading books and they record themselves and they were, with their phone and they review it
Okay.
later. Maybe they show it to their spouse. And I mean, their spouse isn't a casting director or an expert on that, but in the end, there's so many ways that you can try this out and get feedback from people. And that's one of the things that I think is incredible. And if you start finding out that you're really starting to love it and it resonates with you, then it's time to invest in yourself. And
But how do I know that this feedback is worth it? Because sometimes a loved one, a husband or a wife or a parent, would definitely say, "Oh, you have the most fantastic voice," but it's
yeah.
not the truth because they just love you. They say that to you in order not to, make you embarrassed. Uh, how do I start to launch myself? How do I um, start training? Because you mentioned reading books. So who do I read these books to?
Well, that's the thing, right? If you're recording yourself, that's something you want to think about. And one thing a lot of people don't understand is that it's voice acting, and it doesn't matter which genre. Like I'm getting more into commercial work, and you would think that that's not as much acting. It 100% is. When you're reading something or doing voiceover, you want to think of, first off, who are you? Who's narrating it? What's your role in this story that you're telling it? And who are you telling it to? Right? Where are you? What era is it? What time is it? It's really, we're professional pretenders, and it's so important that if you want to get some traction or get noticed in this industry, you got to really be able to get into a role, no matter what it is. And if the role is not defined, you need to define it. you
Okay.
know yeah.
So the first step, you must have to have the want or the desire. Secondly, you buy some good equipment. It doesn't have to be very expensive. And thirdly, you can start by reading anything and get the feedback from the people.
Yeah, I would say, you don't even need the equipment first. But once you feel that, you have decent acting chops, your delivery is good, your breath control is good, your inflections and intonation are good, then you need to make sure that you can get to a point where you're going to have broadcast quality sound.
Very good.
Because that's the game we play in. And again, it's not like it was 15 years ago. It does not take a whole lot of money and effort to get broadcast quality sound. And there are fantastic people. One cool thing about the voiceover world is it is one big family. It is super welcoming. There are people in the industry who, for very low cost, you record in your space, you send them the audio, and they will help you to get exactly where you need to be in terms of sound quality.
And I will ask you more about this, but you mentioned a very good thing. Like you can start with your cell phone, and everyone has a cell phone these days, so you can use that cell phone and record yourself. on it. Let me say hello to some of the friends who started commenting. I want to say hello to Mr. Raad Zuhair Al Izzi from Baghdad, Iraq. Hello, Raad. He says, good afternoon to you. Ayman Mardini is joining us from Montreal, Quebec, and he's asking, is there a specific age to start with this?
I have heard of some really young voiceovers. I think it's super cool. There are some people in the industry that get their kids into it, and I've heard of kids at the age of 5 booking gigs with Disney and Pixar and Netflix, and it is just a super cool thing to see. But there's no specific age. We're all where we're at in life right now in terms of age, and I think that if it's something you're passionate about and want to get into, there's no exact age because different projects require different ages. So it really is. There's plenty of work out there, no matter, and again, no matter what language you speak or what type of voice you have, there's a market for it. But you're gonna have to market it for sure.
There you go, Ayman. So go ahead. So we have also Facebook user. I think they're joining us from FM Baghdad. So please just write your names and say hello. Walid Al-Ani is from Baghdad is saying hi, Dave.
Hello, Walid.
Hi, Walid. And then there is a question from Omar Mundar. Omar Mundar has a very good voice and he likes to become a professional voiceover specialist. In his question, he's saying, hi, Dave, I'm Omar Mundar. I like to be a voiceover specialist. That is, I have some tests with Zyad about it. Just want to say thanks for this live conversation. Thank you.
You're very welcome. If he wants any info, I don't know what kind of test, but if he's looking to check his audio quality or whichever, he can reach out to you, Zyad, and I'm happy to, if he doesn't get it through on this live, I'd be happy to at least point him to a person that can help him solve his issue.
There you go. And we'll be giving also some exercises throughout the conversation today. So please stay tuned. Facebook user, again, please write your name. Hi. Again, hello for Marwa Gamal. She's joining from Cairo, Egypt.
Hello.
Hi, Marwa. How are you doing? Marwa has a nice voice. She's very pleasant on the radio. I've worked with her before in Radio Canadawi in Toronto back in the time. The radio doesn't exist anymore, but she's a very talented person. So I would love to see Marwa watching us today because Marwa has very good talent. Thank you, Marwa. Dave, let's talk about now about finding the resources or the channels in which I can market myself. So I'm a voiceover specialist, for instance, and I want to be known in the market. What are the main or the best venues through which I can introduce myself and market myself?
Yeah. So once you get to that point, I mean, that would, every business has its business card, right? In voiceover, your demo is your business card. So what you played at the beginning of the show, that's my new demo for commercial voiceover.
Yes.
So you would be able to market yourself. So let's say, for instance, it's niche specific. So if I have a commercial demo and I want to market myself, it's pretty broad. It's got some automotive and tech stuff, apparel, things on it. So my best way to market myself with a demo like that is to reach out to agents, talent agents, in major cities like New York, LA, Chicago, and do it that way. But direct marketing is where people are going to find the most of their work. So let's say I want to really get into the automotive niche, doing dealership commercials and branding commercials and, even corporate automotive narration. I would really want to pay a professional to be able to put together about a 1-minute demo, just like the one you heard, but it would be automotive geared. And I would then start to reach out. I would need to do a bunch of lead generation, because keep in mind, being a voice actor, I think the main reason it's not for everybody is you're running a small business. You're an entrepreneur. You don't get to just speak into the mic and you're done. In fact, most of your time is going to be spent auditioning, networking, and digging for leads. So it's definitely a grind, and it's pretty niche specific. Now, the way that most people get work when they start out is by casting sites, most of which are referred to as pay to play sites, because you do need to pay for a subscription. There are voices. I'd say the top 3 would be voices.com, voice123.com, and Bodalgo. And what those websites do is they use AI algorithms. You basically will upload your demos, right, that you have, and their system will try to match you with casting jobs.
Yes.
Say, hey, this came in. Let's say it's a corporate presentation, or let's say it's a university, 50th anniversary celebration video that they're
Yes.
making, and they need a voice for it. Now, this is a highly competitive, way to go at it, but it's a great way to have access to a decent amount of auditions, because you'll audition for these roles, and in some cases you are literally
Yes.
up against hundreds of other people.
Dave, Marwa Gamal is with me on the line right now, and maybe she wants to say something. Hello, Marwa.
Sure.
Hello, Zyad. How are you?
I'm very
Hi,
well.
Dave.
Hello.
See you and nice to stay on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Marwa, what do you like to say about voiceover acting and voiceover recording? Are you still into that?
Yes, pretty much. This is one of my dreams actually. I just wanted to know more about voiceover, because one of my let's say dreams back then, when we were in Canada, we were working together.
Yeah.
I actually some commercials. I did a voiceover for some commercials. But to be honest, when I'm in Egypt right now, we're seeing lots of ads and lots of translated Disney Disney movies and stuff like that. Like, actually, I would love to actually be able to do some voiceover for commercial ads for Egypt, and actually to do some voiceover for characters in Disney movies or any other movies, like even Arabic or Egyptian shows. Like we have lots of animation programs right now.
Yes.
And I would love to have this voiceover training, just to be able to know everything about it, and to be educated about it, because this is one of the things that I would love to be involved in, like any day and in my life.
Very good. Very good.
That's so cool.
Dave, what do you want to tell Marwa about voice training?
Well, you are right. The animation and video game, especially industries, are just wild right now. If you're passionate about that, I'm telling you, if you invest in yourself, get the right training, there's resources online that can help you find really good coaches. You want somebody who has, produced voiceovers, for the types of things that you're looking to get into, and has been doing it and has done it and all that, to kind of guide you in the right direction. There are so many resources out there. In fact, if you're looking for a video game and animation specifically, and wanted a platform to check out that might have a lot of really good content, I'd look up Steve Bloom, BLUM. It's called or Blum. It's Blumvox Studios. They do have a Facebook page. His kind of library of online classes is pretty highly rated, and it's more geared towards that, because if you look him up, you'll see how many cartoon voices he's done. It's out of this world. He's one of the most successful in the world, and I think his program's like $50 a month or something. It's also pretty low, and if you're gonna
Nice.
speed through a lot of it, you're just going to get a ton of actually useful content that will give you a much better idea of what's expected. And it's fun. I mean, if you have the time, dive in. That's so much fun.
Yes, you're saying it's once a month. Once a month, like I can online courses. Is it?
It's a monthly subscription that you'll pay, and you'll get access to a huge library
Okay.
of training videos on all different types of animation and voiceover and stuff like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I would
Sounds
love to
good.
have the address, like the web address, like you just said right now. So if you can write it down in
Yeah.
the chat or thing like that, so I'd love to join some kind of this kind of
Sure.
training, because it's really good. And the thing is, it's a big market in Egypt for this. Because of the commercials over there, we are like the Hollywood of the Middle East. So this is the thing, like we have lots of commercials and voiceover for the commercials, and for the animations itself. The key is when I was working before in Canada, and before even that, I'd like to change my voices. Like I can be like a small girl, I can be like a grandma. I can do lots of voices like this. So I felt like I have this talent, kind of. So I need actually to be more educated and involved in this, but in the right way. I don't want it to take it like as a something like a hobby and that's it. No, I just actually I wanted to study about it even more.
Yeah, that's really cool. I would love my dream. One of my dreams is to, be a voice on like a Netflix adult cartoon or something someday. I would die. And, I'm not there yet. I'm still relatively new. I'm, having some great success and I'm learning lots. And I do hope to one day, be recognized in that industry in either video games or animation. I think those are just the coolest facets of voiceover. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And if you can, Dave, please write the names of this website in the chat box, and I'm going to post it right away in the as a banner here.
Oh, I just
Thank you.
put
It
the
always helps.
Yeah. Thank you, Marwa. Thanks for calling.
Thank you so much for both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Yes. So there's another comment that came to me from Toronto, from Ruwaida Al Bayati. Hello, Ruwaida. Good afternoon, Zyad and Dave. Interesting subject. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So stay tuned. Ruwaida will be giving some exercises very soon. So Dave has already sent me I received it. I'm going to make it in as a banner and post it. So what is this banner, Dave?
Blumbox Studio. So that's Steve Bloom's kind of coaching resource, monthly subscription resource for newer voice actors that would be more interested in learning about video games and animation type work.
Good. So Blumbox Studio, you can see it now as a banner. That's where you go and post your videos and get your training as well. Thanks. And then you gave me another one. This is
gravyforthebrain.com. And that is for like anybody else, just general, you will also get some animation and video game type training through their resources. But I have more personal experience with Gravy for the Brain, so I can kind of vouch for it a bit more. And that doesn't take away from Blumbox. I'm just not a member there, but I have heard of a lot of people who got great value from joining up. Gravy for the Brain is a place where you can really try out in a safe space. You can try new things. You can post audio clips, and you're not going to get a response from, Todd on Facebook, who doesn't know anything what he's talking about. In fact, the people that will respond are top in the industry. One of them being Peter Dixon, who is in the UK, and he is actually notably probably the most famous voice actor in the world. So, to get some personal attention and some feedback on the quality of your audio, the quality of your acting and everything else is I think just unreal for the price that they charge for that platform.
Very good. So Marwa thanks you very much, and she's saying yes, got it. Thank you, Marwa. Dave, let's switch gear now and talk about uh, warming up your voice before you start recording. Okay.
Right. Yes. So like any other instrument, your
Yeah.
voice is an instrument,
Okay.
and you got to warm it up. You got to tune the piano every now and then. You got to tune the guitar. It's just the way of the beast. And especially with what she was looking to get into, when you get into video games and animation, you can get into a lot of pretty high screaming types of scenes, and you need to really train yourself, warm up enough so that you're not going to hurt anything or get nodes on your vocal cords or
Yeah.
something like that, because that can put you out for a really long time. You kind of realize how important all of this is when you start to do this for a living
Yes.
and start to take better care of yourself in those aspects. So before you're doing anything, if you were going to run a 100-meter sprint, you would warm up first, right?
Yes.
So if you're going to want to have full control of all your facial muscles and everything else, and you want to make sure that you're not too tight, you want to be relaxed, there's things that you should do, and it can be different for everybody, but I'll go through quickly what I normally do to warm up my voice. It's quite simple.
Do you
We
do this?
Amazing, my friend. The pencil trick is one of the best things you will ever
Yeah.
get, especially if you are stuck on a tongue twister or something. When you so I'll get to the pencil trick in a sec, because it's part of my regular everyday, almost every audition process. I
Okay.
start with head rolls. I literally just roll my head in
Okay.
circles. I do it one way, I do it the other way. I do windmills with my arms. I do hip rolls. So I try to get really physical. I had one of my really successful VO friends tell me that before I do automotive commercials, I should stand in the Superman pose with my arms up for about 15 seconds and jump up and down a bunch of times. And I'm like, you know what? I've heard crazier things that we do to get ready, so I'm game, So imagine me just in my padded room, just jumping up and down. Somebody call somebody, right?
Okay. So
Um,
the head movement. So this relaxes the muscles in these
you wanna,
areas.
yeah, you might even wanna, massage under your chin here, just with your
Right here.
thumb. You can
Okay.
loosen that up really good, and just get everything loose. And then you got to get your lips loose. So you make crazy sounds as a voice
Yeah.
actor. And honestly,
O E.
yeah, so I used to be shy. I got over it. So you got to lip trill. You got to try
Yeah.
to go from low to high, right? Try to control a lip trill.
Yes.
Then you
Yes.
want to hum.
Mm.
I sound like a sick cow, but in my performance, it's going to help a little bit.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Number
And
one thing,
the pencil
I
trick.
I
That's very very important too.
I should say the number one thing before
Yes.
any of those warm-ups is to make sure that you are hydrated. And I don't mean that you drank a glass of water before you went in the studio. It takes a long time for water to actually hydrate your vocal cords, to actually, be present in all the areas that you need it be for good vocal health.
Hmm.
You need to start drinking water and nothing but water, maybe some hot tea with honey or something, or lemon, sorry, not really honey, about 2 hours before your performance, at least.
Do you drink it like you sip through it, or just
Yeah,
drink
you
it in
should
one go?
be have
Or
a good regime. You should be taking it, not just expect to down 2 liters of water and be like, I'm good for the day. We're done. You should be drinking water throughout your day. And I've heard of a dear friend of mine, she actually has reminders on her phone. She's been a professional VO for over 10 years. She's voiced for Nike, Adidas, Apple, like you name it. She's done it.
Mhm.
And she has a reminder on her phone like 8 times a day, like drink water, because she just gets so busy. and it's so important. It's not something you want to miss. So I guess once you feel that warmed up, then it's time to, I mean, I'm guessing you're either auditioning, you're doing some kind of script, you're not just doing a freestyle in there. You have a piece of material. Again, you need to know, who are you that's speaking this material? Are you a customer? If it's a commercial, let's say, do you work for Nike? Do you buy Nike? Like, who are you? And who's your target audience? Who are you talking to?
Okay.
And where you are. And then it's time to rehearse the script. And I gotta say, once you have read a script with a pencil in your mouth, like our friend Zyad showed us, if you can talk and,
good.
enunciate correctly doing it like this, once you remove the pencil, it's so easy. It's like the most freeing feeling in the world for your mouth.
Yes,
And, there's no tongue twister too great at that point.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you should feel it. You should feel the agony or the pain in your pencil while you're talking. Now,
Yeah.
about the tongue, when I was trained, I've been told that your tongue should hit the lower part of the pen like this, and then you start creaking.
It's probably more
So
effective that way. I don't think I really focus on where I put that. That's probably a really good point. You sure you're
yeah,
not training
so
me?
I
You
don't know
put it under?
how do you do it. So the way I do it is here, and then you start reading. So when your pen is
Look at us.
actually hitting
Okay, yeah. See, I don't. I put my
look
tongue.
at that.
This is way harder. Man, you are.
Don't laugh at us.
Let's get rid of that.
Thank you. So Flyview is saying, hello everyone, this is a very good technique. Yeah, that's the very first thing that you should start doing, when you start training yourself. Let's talk about breathing now.
Yeah. So breathing, or breath control in general, becomes really important. A good way to start.
Why is that very important, first of all?
Because you want the read to sound natural. Now, there are instances where breath control is not as important. Let's say a commercial. I can do a sentence, take a breath, do a sentence, take a breath, do a sentence, and then I can edit the breaths out, because nobody wants a breath in a commercial. But let's say we're listening to an 8-hour-long audiobook.
Okay.
And we never hear the narrator breathe once. It's weird. Like it gives you're kind of almost anticipating, like, is he gonna breathe or is he gonna die? Like, when's the story end? So you got to really learn. Now, the best way to start with that is to just read naturally. You're reading the script naturally, and whenever you find, it's hard to find that point when you would take a natural breath, because these are not your words. This is not the way that you normally speak. You're just trying to make it that way. So a lot of narrators will actually, when they pre-read, they will kind of do it out loud, and they will make marks on the script. It sounds kind of crazy, like, really, you need to be told when to breathe, but yeah, kind of, because it just doesn't come as naturally when you are dictating words that were written by somebody else. And you end up getting long-winded, and it can really affect your performance and your stamina for that session as well.
Yes. Let me also ask you about pausing. Where to pause when you do your recording, and is it a good idea not to pause at all, or remove those pauses in the video editing later on? Because I see people do that all the time, and I hate it.
You mean like it's clear that they've removed the pause?
Yeah, and then put everything together because they want to jam all the information to save time on YouTube videos?
I think it depends on the content. I think there's content that requires, let's say, punctuation to be respected. So, in terms of pausing because of punctuation, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but, in audiobooks, kind of a period would be a 1-second pause, but a new paragraph would be about 1.5 seconds.
Yes.
Commas can be fun to play with. And punctuation in general, if you're doing commercial voiceover, sometimes the best read is going to be the one that ignores all punctuation and comes up with its own flow of the material. And that audition is sometimes what's really going to stand out to the casting director who's picking out of, let's say, 100 different people. You know,
Yes.
if 99 people are, kind of respect the punctuation and one
Yes.
doesn't, but it sounds good, what's really going to stand out, right?
Yeah. So let me play again the set of commercials that you sent me earlier.
Sure.
Maybe the first who joined us did not see that. So I want them to see it again, and I want you to pay attention as you listen to Dave in these commercials. Pay attention to the poses and the flow of speech, and also how he manipulates the tone in each one in a way that reflects the meaning intended behind everyone. So here you go. Let's play it again.
People call me Hungry Harry because I eat just about everything you put in front of me. And since I love variety, I count on Grubhub to bring me whatever my heart and stomach desires. Yep, being me is awesome. Every road holds a new adventure in the impressive all-electric Kia EV9. Charged for more. Turn your home into a virtual playground as you immerse yourself in mixed reality. Meta Quest 3, the most powerful way to play. Move like everyone is watching, and like no one can stop you. Discover your uniqueness within. Lululemon. When you want to send money to the kids, or pay the landscaper for a job well done, do it with Zelle. It's fast, free, and secure. Next time you need to move money, look for Zelle in your banking app.
There you go. So let's talk about the tone and the manipulation of tone, and why is that very important in voice recording?
Yeah, and it's a very good question. Here's the thing. A lot of people have a nice voice. They're told, you have a nice voice. Do you do radio or do you do this? Here's the real thing. We all have a nice voice. Everybody does. You can really sound as good as you think you are, but no one's going to care if everything you do sounds the same. Seriously, even if it's like the greatest thing they've ever heard, if it's all the same, nobody cares. So the point of that clip, right? Because that's my professional demo. That what you just played, that 56 seconds, that is my business card, right? That is literally all I have to send to people and say, like, hey, here's who I am. Would love the possibility of working together, and send that. So when prospective clients and casting directors and agents are listening to that business card, that demo, they're looking for a couple things. And one of the big things they're looking for is vocal range.
Yes.
If the talent can't display that they can deliver a range of different pitches and emotions in a short amount of time, it's in the trash can. You know, they might only listen to the first 15 seconds. And if you don't switch it up to something drastically different in that first 15 seconds and keep them engaged, they're busy. Like, you know, when I told you these pay-to-play sites, sometimes you're auditioning up against 200 people. So if they're posting a $500 project, right, they have to go through 200 auditions. A lot of the times they're only going to listen to the first like 3 seconds. Nope. Next. So whatever you do put out there as your calling card, your professional, demo, you got to make sure it's good. And you got to make sure before you get a demo like that produced, before you shell out a lot of money to hire somebody to make you a pro demo, you got to make sure you're ready to get a demo.
Yeah.
And that goes back to, the portals I listed, but most importantly, even with those, you're not going to be fully demo ready without one-on-one coaching, especially if you don't have a theatrical background. Some people who have a background in theater or stage acting or screen acting can pick it up pretty good, but there's also people who've been an actor their whole life and can't really have it, or at least having a lot of trouble adapting to the changes of voice acting because they no longer have their whole body to portray the message. It's just their voice. and every word counts so much more at that point.
But that's a very arduous and very strenuous, job to post your voice and get yourself to be known. Are there any like agencies or people who can help you promote yourself? Because you'll be juggling with so many balls in one hands at the same time, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's
It
so stressful, right?
Yeah, it's a time investment, and I recommend, again, there's so many. I recommend starting with the low cost ways. There is a fantastic podcast, which I will write in your chat. It's called VOpreneur. This guy named Mark Scott, and he has top industry people on there all the time. And his main thing is voiceover marketing, and like that is fantastic. There are just tons of places to get resources, but in terms of kind of starting to market yourself, you want to, one, make sure that you have the training. Two, make sure that you have a pro demo before you do any of that, because I'll tell you, the industry does not give a lot of second chances. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm new and I make this demo. To me, I think it sounds great. So I throw it out to the world and I send it to 5 local radio stations and say,
Yes.
hey, I'm a voice actor. You guys play commercials. I would love to be on your roster. Do you have anybody that sounds like me? Can I be on your roster? If your demo is not good, you may go back to them a year later with a pro demo. It might not even get listened to, because they're already going to have your other one on file, and they're going to say, this guy again, trash. So you really want to make sure before you start knocking on doors, if you
Yes.
were a vacuum salesman and your vacuum didn't really suck up dirt yet, I don't think you'd want to be knocking on people's doors being like, hey, can I demo my vacuum on your floors and show you how it doesn't do what it's supposed to do?
Yeah.
So it's just something to keep in mind. There's so many playgrounds for voiceover where you can practice and get feedback. You can even audition. I'll put a site in here, especially for the nice lady earlier who wanted to get into video games or animation. There's a website called castingcallclub.cc, and I think it's super unique because, one, it's free to join. Now,
Yes.
you're not keeping a roof over your head on this site, because most jobs are free. Paid jobs, like, you may end up doing a couple hours of work for $5. So it's really about whether you want to learn and be in the industry, because like anything, you can't expect to think about it as being an intern or something like that. You can't just expect to jump in and be making money. But the thing that I love about this website is that people post castings and they'll say, okay, we have a fan dub that we're doing on YouTube. A lot of YouTube, maybe it's an audio drama or a homemade cartoon, and you can audition for free.
Yes.
You can listen to everybody else's audition for the part, and you can see who got selected for the part, and having those things, that is so useful,
Yes.
because you start to get a sense of what works and what doesn't work. And that's zero cost. So, again, you're not going to get pro acting advice on there, but you're going to get to play, and
Right.
that's what a lot of this is all about, you know.
Right.
So I would highly recommend somebody who wants to get into video game, the more character stuff, the fun stuff, you know,
So we
that would be
have
really great.
yeah. So we have VOpreneur. That's the first one.
Yeah.
And we have casting call club.
Yeah.
.cc. So please keep these in mind. If you want to post, use these two, VOpreneur.
Well,
and
VOpreneur would be
casting
for
call.
if anybody who wants to know about the marketing side of VO, because again, you're an entrepreneur, you're running your own business,
Mhm.
and you really need to be prepared for that and kind of know what that entails. If cold calling people or emailing people makes you really nervous, that's
Mhm.
a hurdle that you'd have to really get over, because I will tell you, the number one thing that you will face in this industry is rejection. Because remember, I said 200 people are auditioning for one small role, right?
Yes.
So you need thick skin, and you need to realize that even a rejection can be an opportunity,
True.
and you need to never Of course, if you audition 100 times and you don't even get shortlisted for something, you may want to get coaching. I mean, you get, that's a good indicator that, hey, I should probably get more training. Like, why isn't this working?
Yes.
Yeah.
And where do you get coaching? Because maybe that's the other topic that we want to
Yeah.
talk about today. How and where do I get coaching?
So here's a bit of a tough one because there's coaching available everywhere. I would recommend checking out Mark Scott's website. That's VOpreneur, so VOpreneur.com, because
So for
in his
coaching,
sorry, yeah,
VOpreneur for
yeah.
coaching,
And
yes.
he has Facebook as well because his list of coaches is going to be heavily vetted. There are a lot of people out there that are coaching that shouldn't be coaching. So I don't want to tell people just go here and find a coach because the truth is there's a lot of them that are not qualified. Sure, they've been, had some success, voiced some commercials, done some video games, whatever. But in my opinion, it not only takes years of success as a voice actor and keeping up with the trends as they're changing, it takes so much more than that. Are you a teacher by nature? Like, is this, it's a special kind of person. But I would start with Mark Scott. I would join his Facebook group, VOpreneur, and I would post a question on there and tell what specific type of voiceover that you're passionate about. Let's say I wanted to get into dubbing, and that's, let's see, I'm sure everybody's watched a Netflix series in a language that it wasn't originally recorded in.
Absolutely.
Those are voice actors, right?
Yeah.
So if I wanted to get into dubbing, I would probably post on his page and said, "Hey, I'm new to the community. Um, I'm looking to see if this is for me, and I'm looking to get coaching in the area of dubbing. Who can you recommend?" And you are going to get solid recommendations on a page like his. Um, but there's a lot of companies out there. They're referred to in the industry as demo mills. So beware. If you find a place online that has this all comprehensive, it's $2,000, and you're going to get demos and training and lifetime support, and you're gonna be on the next Pixar movie. Be wary of that. And if any coach says, "Hey, if you coach with me, I'm gonna guarantee you're getting booked," red flag. Don't do it. A
Yes.
good coach would never say that because it's up to you more than it's up to them. They're just going to try to lead you in the right direction and maybe point out some things that you're not picking up on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Dave, our next topic will be voice acting. But before going to voice acting, I want to read some comments that you received from Floy Blue, is asking about talking about breathing. Are they also using special filtering to get rid of it? I think he's talking. They're talking about YouTubers and voiceover specialists.
Yeah. So breathing, it's best to just do it. Now, it's weird. A voiceover breath can sound pretty unnatural. Whether you're breathing through your nose or your mouth, it just can. There's different techniques different people use. Now, for a commercial or something like that, you're removing breaths. For a small project, let's say you're doing e-learning or some kind of narration where you want the breaths in there because it's conversational and you want it to be natural. A lot of voice actors will actually remove the center part of a breath in their DAW, and it just shortens the breath. And there are plugins. Waves, a company that makes VSD plugins, they make a D breath. So does Isotope RX10, another kind of suite of tools for voice actors and musicians. They also do it. You got to be really careful when you start playing with those things, though, because it's removing the breath. What else is it taking out? We see the same thing with people that try to record in a noisy environment, and they're like, "I'll just fix it after," because there's plugins that just give you exceptional results. But they only work when they're used sparingly. They only work when you need to use them a little bit. Like, I just
Yeah.
need a little bit of background noise removal. Not, there's a freight train going by and I'm going to try to fix it in post. That doesn't work. If you're by
Yeah.
train tracks and there's a train going by your house, just wait it out. Not a good time to record.
Yes. Dave, you remember when you said everyone has a great voice or a good voice? I think Ruwaida disagrees with you.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, Rowena, for sure, but it is actually true. I'll tell you a little story. I recently had an assessment, a business assessment, with somebody in the industry, and I was talking about how to market myself, and he goes, "Well, you're a middle-aged white man, so nobody cares." That's what he said to me. I said,
Yeah,
"Oh, what do you mean?" He goes, "Nobody cares. You're not a diverse voice." He said,
yeah,
you're not of ethnic or Aboriginal or have, a niche accent." He's like, "You're just boring." He said, "You're not part of and this is where he got me. He goes, "You're not part of the LGBT community." And I was like, I am. And he goes, "Well, damn it, you're going to get work a lot easier than me then." Right. And it is true. It really is for everybody. I know so many successful voice actors that do not have that radio broadcast signature sound, and they've got people knocking their door down because
mhm,
they're unique, and they've
yeah,
they've mastered their craft. They know the industry, and when they send in an audition, it stands out, against the rest.
very good. So there you go, Ruwaida. Everyone has a unique voice, and I agree. I agree with Dave totally. Yusuf Naba is asking from Yusuf is saying women are more attracted to men with deep voices.
I would say stereotypically, but I mean, I couldn't possibly say that that's the case. You might be right in terms of a majority might,
Hmm.
but everybody's different. Everybody's got the thing, and keep in mind, it also depends what the content is, right?
Hmm.
Like, did you know? Let's we're more attracted to men with deep voices. Voices can be used for so many things, and sometimes you need a light voice. And I think I was telling you earlier, Zyad, I said, did you know, or I wrote on my Facebook story, Bart Simpson, right? Everybody
Yes,
knows who Bart Simpson is,
of
but
course.
did you know it's voiced by a woman named Nancy Cartwright, who is incredibly talented?
That's right. Yeah.
Most people don't know that's a woman, and that's just a use of a voice. A high-pitched voice has so many uses in animation, in video games, even in a lot of advertisements. Quirky is in, for a high-pitched kind of campy, quirky guy for an ad that's high energy. That sells right now, because again, they're looking for diversity. They really are.
You're right.
And that's
Hello,
a good
Hiba.
thing, I'll say, by the way. It's
Of course.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, Hiba from Toronto. Welcome and thanks for joining. And Ruwaida is convinced with your words. She says that's kind of convincing. Thanks, Dave.
You're
Thank you,
very welcome.
Ruwaida. Okay, Dave, let's switch gears once more to voice acting. Okay.
Okay.
I know you're a voice actor and you've done that. Okay. I haven't done that yet. Maybe because I'm mainly into news and narration. Tell us about voice acting and how do you use your voice as a tool for acting? How can I imagine the character and live with it with only listening to it without even having to see it?
Hmm. Yeah, because that's all you have. There will be
Yeah.
visuals added in most senses, but the first thing to know is all voiceover is voice acting. Everything. Even if I was doing a medical narration script, I'm probably acting as somebody who's more knowledgeable and has a higher IQ than I do, right? While I'm Googling pronunciation of words and being like, why did I accept this job? But it is all acting. And so,
Yes.
if you look at some of the best screen actors, because they're the most memorable, that's what everybody knows. And everybody's heard of the method actor, the actor that never leaves the role while they're in the role. Like, watch out for
Yeah.
that guy in the streets. Um, it is so important to connect with the copy, and by copy I mean the script. Whatever script you have, it has to have a meaning. You can't expect to grab it, and even if you think like, I'm adding emotion to this is really chock full of emotion, it's not. If it doesn't have a backstory and an understanding and a commitment, it doesn't have anything. and to a trained professional ear, no matter how good it sounds to you and your mom and your dog, it's just it's
Yeah.
gonna fall flat on people's ears. So you really got to be able to get into it. And again, you got to say, who am I? Right? Who am
Hmm.
I? Where am I? Who am I talking to? Why is this so important? Am I excited? Am I sad? And you look at the script. Is there a point in the script where I change my feeling? Right?
Yes.
Does it start really amped up, and then am I going into a more solemn state of sadness at the end? And you got to try to live it, and that can be almost hurtful, because you have to sometimes torture yourself with some thoughts you don't want to in order to get into a role. I was recently in a kind of a workout session. This very successful voice actor, she invited me to this Monday night workout group, where you can bring commercial scripts you've been working on, and we can just try them out and give each other feedback. And I'm like, that's great. I'm always about things like that. One, it's
Hmm.
free, and you're with colleagues booking voice actors, and you're going to learn something, or
Yes.
maybe you'll be able to teach something, who knows.
Yes.
And I had this script. It was for Michigan Pure. It was like a
Hmm.
state of Michigan ad, and it was like, let's reconnect. Like, it was a very kind of down to earth kind of vibe. And I did it. I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, that was great. And she's like, she goes, I could use a lot more emotion. She's like, I wasn't really feeling that. And there's something called a lead in. When you're doing a lead in, you're trying to get into the mode of the script. So the script started with let's reconnect. So I would lead in like I was talking to a friend and be like, man, it's been a really long time since I've seen you. You know what? Let's reconnect. And then when I submit that, I would just cut that part out. She had me go, like, she almost had me in tears. She's like, she made me think about somebody in my life who had died, and, you know, made me tell this story about, a very kind of high emotional time with that person, and then lead into the script. And it was rough. She's like, I want you to talk about it for at least a minute before you go in. I'm like, why did I join this session? Like, this is awful. And, I did it. And the read, I listened to it after because we recorded the session. The read was 10 times better than what I thought was good when I went in.
Right.
And it comes down to, you got to practice, and you got to be open for feedback, because there was another person in that same session
Hmm.
who received similar feedback. And she goes, no, I'm just going to leave it as is. And I'm kind of thinking, like, why did you come here? If
Yeah.
that, like, you're here to learn, not show off, right?
Hmm.
Because it's important to know that what you think is good might not be what people are looking for. And the only way that you're going to uncover those things is by just being on the ground in the inventory, in the industry, in any way that you can. Just staying current, and go to actually, I'm going to put another site in here. This is what I use to stay current. It's called iSpot TV, and
Okay.
it's like Spotify for TV ads. And
Hmm.
all of the national TV ads get listed there. So, Nike has an ad, boom, I listen to it. I'm like, who did they hire? So I listened to the voiceover, and that's what they hired. So take notes, right? What do you think they liked about that? And
Yes.
you always got to be studying. And luckily with the internet, there are just so many free ways that you can keep up to date on a daily basis, that you can mix in with your private coaching and everything else that you're doing to kind of
Right.
improve your craft. Yeah.
Yes. So iSpot TV is for, it's like a hub for all the commercials you said?
Just national commercials. So commercials that had big budgets, right? Like big
Mhm.
stuff, Budweiser ads and all that stuff is going to be there. Um, you know,
With also a bio about the narrator or the
sometimes
voiceover specialist who did that?
they'll sometimes list who did it, but not always. But it's more about just listening to it. And if you transcribe that script and look at it, you think about it. Okay, this is what the person received. They didn't get background music or any of that. All they got was these written words that they spoke. And you can start to kind of unravel how they might have got to that kind of delivery and see the overall vibe of the ad. And if you watch 15 automotive ads for mid-size SUVs, and you start to see similarities. You're like, oh, this is kind of a niche, like that's how you sell this, right? If you notice a lot of TV ads, you ever see like the snaky lawyer commercials? They're all the same. They all
Yes.
use the same kind of tone because we're simple as human beings, man. That's how we expect to receive that exact message. We
True.
expect it to be that way. We don't want it
Yes.
to be different than that, right? So, yeah.
You have a question coming from Yusuf again. It's a wonderful conversation, Dave and Ziad. My question to Dave, are you using any effects on audio or audio mixer right now?
I'm not. I don't know if StreamYard is, but I basically have a XLR large diaphragm condenser microphone plugged into a USB interface and into my computer. I don't use any onboard effects because with voiceover, a lot of the times you're going to be asked for raw audio. So I don't even have, some mics will have like a high pass filter button on them. And what that
Mhm.
is if you know about audio, it's measured in hertz, right? So, and 0 to 100 hertz, that would be that really low end rumble, which you wouldn't find any value in a voice. So normally below around 80 hertz, we cut it off because that's going to really clean up our audio, especially if there's vehicles driving by and stuff. That rumble, just that cutoff might totally get rid of that while also, kind of keeping the quality of the audio where it needs to be. But right now, I think we're just patched in raw, I think. So if I'm
Yeah.
full of mouth clicks and weird sounds, I apologize. I normally have the ability to edit those
No,
out.
you sound perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
You sound perfect. And yeah, this is a disclaimer. We both are not using any kind of uh, effects and maybe just the interface, the
We
audio
are
interface
we are
that we're using.
hashtag no filter up in here. This is
No
just
filters.
raw audio. But
Indeed.
the importance of having a good microphone, and I will touch on that quickly because if
Please.
I can save somebody a little bit of money, I'm going to do it. Now, I will also tell a story where I told Zyad to order the wrong thing, and I also told him to hit a button on his interface that could have damaged his microphone. So I will say I'm not an audio engineer, but one thing to completely avoid when you are building your starter voiceover studio is USB microphones. For voiceover, okay, for a podcast, you want a dynamic mic. That's like what Zyad has there. If you are looking to get
The
into
one I'm
voiceover,
using here.
yeah,
Okay.
if you're looking to get into voiceover specifically, you need an XLR microphone, preferably either a shotgun mic or a large diaphragm condenser microphone that plugs into an interface. You will never get the sound quality that you want, and it'll never be up to par with the people you're auditioning against if you're using a USB mic. That's something I firmly believe in, and I've never seen anybody be able to prove anybody else otherwise. So
Yes.
avoid that. It's, $100 mic sounds really tempting, but honestly, you can get away with a $200 mic. Don't let anybody tell you that you need to spend, $1,500 on a Neumann TLM 103 or some crazy high-end microphone. You can get one of those when you start booking lots of jobs. You do not need that
There
to
you
get
go.
started.
Of course. Yes. So, Dave, we talked about acting and we mainly hashed the main issues behind acting and voiceover training. We talked about exercises as well. Let me come back to you now. Where is Dave Hull today? What are you doing? Tell us about the latest, because you told us at the beginning of the conversation about your beginnings. Where you at now?
Right. So I'm on a pretty crazy journey right now, I gotta say. And I mentioned this to you, Zyad, before,
Yes.
kind of after I agreed to do your this podcast, which I was so happy that you invited me to. Something big happened. Something that I wouldn't have expected to happen for years. So, and it is attributed to that demo. And again, that demo was professionally produced, right? I put out a business card that when people got it, they listened, and they probably listened to the whole 56 seconds, which is rare, believe it or not.
Yes.
So I uploaded it. I don't actually have representation. So where I'm at, I find, I'm bridging from audiobooks into commercial VO and industrial narration and all that stuff, corporate. I have interest in lots of areas. I have a marketing meeting. So I have this demo and I'm like afraid to send it to anybody because I'm paying for professional marketing from my demo producer, right?
But
So I'm
it's
not going to
perfect.
go,
You've done
right?
it perfectly. Yeah.
So I'm not going to start sending it to agents because remember that whole you burn a bridge. You don't get two chances with these people. They're just too busy. They're
Of
too busy.
course. Of
They get
course.
literally 100 demos a day and they don't care unless you sound unique and great. Um, so my marketing plan with him starts on the 15th. He's going to be recommending me to some agents. So that's very exciting. I didn't think I'd be at a point where I'd start, having agents in large cities help me find work. But for now, I could get away with uploading my demo to some of these pay-to-play casting sites. So I uploaded to a few of them, and what happened a few days later just kind of rocked my world. A German production company contacted me and didn't ask me to audition, but simply said, "Our client loves your voice. We want to hire you to voice 3 Mercedes-Benz commercials."
Wow.
Which I honestly, I just got chills just saying it because I'm still in partial disbelief that this could happen for me at this stage. Um,
Congratulations.
yeah, so I mean, that came in 3 days ago, and I spent the first half of my day trying to prove it as a scam, and that was unsuccessful, thankfully. And I spent the second half of my day just pacing around my house like a maniac. Like I'm still like I don't know really what to say. So things are going great, and I know that's not everybody's journey. I mean, keep in mind, I've been auditioning like crazy.
Mhm.
On the pay to plays, you're lucky if you book 1 in 30 jobs. If you book 1 in 30 jobs, you're amazing. And I mean, they say it takes usually about 90 auditions for somebody to land their first gig. I got lucky about 2 weeks ago before the crazy booking happened. I landed a gig with the New Brunswick Community College. They hired me to voice their 50th anniversary celebration. So that felt great. That was kind of a long due thing that I was waiting to happen because you need to book work for validation. And when
Yeah.
you've paid for the training and you've paid for the equipment and you really feel like you're where you need to be and you're still not getting noticed, it can be really stressful.
True.
So for anybody who does decide to get in this business, just remember
Mhm.
rejection is the name of the game and you can't let it get you down.
Yeah.
And, you want to find people in the industry that you relate to. And there's so many Facebook groups to do that. VO Booth Besties is probably the best support mechanism you could ever find. I'm going to write that in the chat.
Yes.
You look them up on Facebook. There are 3 women, Alicia, Jen, and Jen, and they are like some of the most fantastic people I ever met in my life. So helpful, so supportive. It's a community of hundreds of people, and it's just great. They have like hangouts on Monday because keep in mind, as voice actors, we stand in a padded room and talk to ourselves all day.
Mhm.
That could come with some problems. You need people to talk to. So there are kind of support groups for people like us where we
So
can hang out.
VO Booth Besties is like a
It's a
social
Facebook group.
network gathering?
It's a Facebook group. Yeah,
Okay.
and they have do you know what Clubhouse is?
Clubhouse, yes, of course.
Yeah, so they have I think they moved to LinkedIn actually. I think they moved to LinkedIn Live. But they have
Mhm.
like Monday kind of hangouts, where you can just take a break from your day. Maybe you had a really tough audition you need to vent about, maybe you just land a big job and you want to kind of celebrate a bit.
Yeah.
It's so important. Community is so important. If anybody who thinks, let's say you're an actual audio engineer and you mastered theater school and are a working actor, you still can't do this on your own. Just to
Yes.
put it out there, you need help. You need to invest in yourself. You need to surround yourself with the right people. And you need to be supportive of others. And you'll find that these things, karma, it all comes around full circle. And the more that you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.
Absolutely. Dave, thank you so much for the precious time. We agreed on an hour, but we're almost now 1 hour and 15 minutes, which is awesome. The conversation with you was very fruitful, very interesting, and very, very informative as well. So thank you for coming, and thanks for all the friends who joined us today and watched this conversation. This will be put on my YouTube channel as well, so you can watch it recorded if you missed the live. Walid Al-Ani has a question, or that's a comment. I don't know. Dave, you have a great voice. Would you please say something to our group, just like morning group members start to comment? Oh, because they're commenting from the FM Baghdad radio group.
Oh, well, good
Thank you,
morning to
Walid.
everybody over there in FM Baghdad. I think it's super cool that we can connect over technology like this. Zyad is such a worldly guy that it's no shock to me that there's from people from all over the world. I'm a very low traveled person. I've only really been through Canada and the US, so I'm working on it. But I think this is just so fantastic that so many people can connect like this from different time zones. And I hope you guys enjoyed the chat. I hope you found some good value from it. I'm very thankful that you featured me today, Zyad. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dave, for coming and for accepting my invitation. And until next time, maybe we meet again and talk about. I would like to make a podcast, if you agree, about the equipment itself and the cables. What's the difference between XLR and condenser? Because maybe you and I know about it because we deal with it all the time. Sometimes friends don't know about it, and we need to give them some education about that technology.
Yeah, we could give
that's agreeable.
Definitely basic requirements for studio, basic setup, and then I could also share resources of pros. Again, that can help people get their setup where it needs to be. Because again, you need help. Like I hired people to get the right sound. Send them an audio clip. Does it sound good? No, it still sounds bad. What do I need to do? More foam, more tape. What do I need?
Yeah.
And you get it worked out. And once you get it worked out, then you move on to the next thing. And it really is, if you're passionate about it, it's a great journey. You're going to learn a ton of stuff.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Please, Dave, don't go away. I'll see you after the show. And thank you very much for all the audience who watched us today. Until next time, this is Zyad and Dave Hull saying goodbye to you. Goodbye.
Thank you.